Obernolte for 5 minutes for your questions.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and Administrator Roth, thank you for your testimony today. I think you've heard some bipartisan frustration with the slowness of the rollout of BEAD funding. And to be clear, this frustration predates your tenure in the agency. It predates this administration. It's been frustration across the aisle with both Democrat and Republican administrations, and this is in red and blue states. So I hope that you're taking this to heart. This is an indication when you hear this kind of frustration across the aisle that it's not a problem with one state or another state, it's a problem with the system. And this funding is critical to getting broadband connectivity rolled out to our constituents, and I'm hoping that you will take this to heart and try and eliminate some of the bottlenecks so we can get this funding flowing, because that was our intent when we appropriated it. I was very happy to hear you talk about freeing up 500 megahertz of spectrum in your opening testimony. We all know the strain that spectrum is under. I've seen some very alarming projections that say that if nothing is done by the year 2030, just 4 years from now, that over 50% of peak traffic will not have spectrum available, particularly as AI puts more and more demands on that. So I'm very happy that NTIA is focused on that. I wanted to ask specifically about the 2.7 gigahertz band. In HR 1 last year, we directed NTIA to work with stakeholders to clear that spectrum and gave you auction authority for that. Could you tell us a little bit about when you think that that auction might occur?
Thank you for your question, and I agree that we need to get the 2.7 gigahertz band identified as quickly as possible so that it can get auctioned and that providers can, and that it can benefit the commercial marketplace. We're working around the clock on to do our part to get the spectrum identified. I'm grateful that soon the incumbent agencies will have access to their spectrum relocation funds so that we can complete our critical engineering work to have a successful auction. And we're working closely with the FCC on timelines and figuring out ways to expedite the process of seeing that spectrum auction just as soon as possible.
Do you think that that might occur by the end of your tenure in the agency?
We're working towards that outcome.
Okay, I'm glad to hear it. I was also very happy to hear you talk about FirstNet reauthorization in your opening testimony. That's something that's critically important to me as someone with a very rural district with a critical need for first responders to be able to communicate. One of the things that I have been a little frustrated by is the fact that FirstNet does not currently interface with any of the low Earth orbit satellite operators. As you know, Starlink, for example, already has direct to cell phone operational capability, and others will soon have that capability. It seems crazy that we're not enabling our first responders to use that. Can you talk a little bit about what NTIA and Congress can do to make sure that new commercial satellite systems are available to first responders through FirstNet?
I agree that first responders should have access to the best technology available. That's FirstNet's mission, to maximize public safety outcomes for the public and for first responders. And I think part of that is really empowering the FirstNet board to determine which investments are needed to maximize public safety outcomes. And I applaud this committee's work on FirstNet. One of the things that the legislation that you've advanced does is clarify roles and responsibilities and really empower public safety's role in increasing public safety seats on the board, improving institutional expertise through staggered terms, as well as really clarifying that public safety is responsible for identifying the strategic use of funding and ensuring that it's public safety that drives the budget and the setting of priorities. And then NTIA can conduct its contract oversight and performance accountability to ensure that those priorities are being carried out. And thanks to our work, Secretary Lutnick was able to, our oversight, we were able to secure an additional $2 billion in value for FirstNet under the contract.
We'll keep working with you on that. My time has expired. Mr. Chairman, I yield back.